Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Carlos Brown, Liquor and Cigars. We got John and Kendrick here. So we are back, and today we are talking about insecurities. But instead of focusing on insecurities that maybe other people give or what they do, uh, let's talk about our personal insecurities. I think sometimes that's the hardest thing to pinpoint or articulate. It's easy to say what we don't like or maybe what you know a lady's done to us in the past as far as insecurities and relationships go. But what are some of your guys' personal insecurities, would you say?
Yeah, and I think that's, the funny thing about that, I think a lot of our insecurities as men come from childhood. I think it comes from expectations from religion, perceptions of what women think we should be or what the world think we should be. Because it's interesting. I was talking with a coworker this week, and she asked me. She said, "Do you like football?" I said, "Nope." I said, "I'm really not a sports guy." I said, "I'm not into any sports." And she said, "Really, you're not into any sports?" I said, "Nope." And she said, "Wow." She said, "You're the first man to ever tell me that." And I was really shocked that she said that because
Yeah,
the
that's the,
it showed the limitations of her own mind, because I know a lot of guys that are not into sports, and I don't think sports define manhood, but I think a lot of times the world put expectations on what manhood should be. They tell us what we shouldn't wear. Men shouldn't wear pink. Men shouldn't drive this or eat this or do this or go here, and they put all of these expectations on what manhood is supposed to be, that when you sometimes you make men question them own selves or feel like they are not measuring up because the world has set such high expectations for what manhood is supposed to be. So I mean, I think insecurities, I think we all deal with insecurities. I think as for me, I think as I get older, I think because I compete, I'm single, so I compete with a younger generation. I don't think I compete with the men of my own age, because the younger generation seems to be more marketable. So the older you get and you're single, you have to, that's who you're competing with. You're competing with youth. And sometimes that can create insecurities in you if you allow it. And just being completely transparent, that's something that I have to constantly like remind myself, hey, you are good enough. You look good. You this, you that. You okay. Because, like I said, I'm competing mentally for whatever reason. I'm competing with youth. So, yeah.
what?
Man, this topic is a scary topic, and the reason I say it's a scary topic is because when you sit back and you think about insecurities, it forces you to be honest with yourself, and it forces you to open up to the things that you're afraid of. And many times we don't have this conversation about the things that we're insecure about. Like, one of the things I'm insecure about is going bald. Like, I don't want to go bald.
Shave it.
I really don't, but I know that it's coming. I had somebody tell me the other day that I hatfish people because I wear a hat,
And a
and
hatfish.
yeah, they say I hatfish people because I wear a hat and they don't get to see my receding hairline, so they give me a hard time, say I'm hat fishing. But one of the things that I'm slowly coming to, well, one of the things I know, not slowly, but one of the things I understand is that when you can understand your insecurities and live in your insecurities, it make you that much stronger as a person. And I'm happy to say that because when I was younger, or even just a few years ago, a few months ago, I had my own personal insecurities that I dealt with that I didn't understand. And now that I'm here, it's like, yo, you know what? It's okay. It's okay to not really know who you are. As long as you're trying to know who you are, it's okay to struggle in life and to try to get to a point where you're going. As long as you are putting forth the effort to get there, and you're doing a great job. You shouldn't be defined by what, as Unc said, by what the world may think, because you're not moving at a certain pace. You're moving at snail pace. So yeah, I've dealt with insecurities. I continue to deal with insecurities, and I believe we're all going to continue to deal with insecurities as long as we live.
Yeah, until either as long as we live or until we embrace who we are and completely what we have. Because I think like when you look at the world, when you look at billboards, you look at TV shows, the world is constantly telling us that we're behind when you really think about it. It's constantly telling us we're behind. When you look at a TV show, they have all of these 20-year-olds and they're already making millions of dollars on their job. They're VPs on their job. If you're 30 and you're not making that, then you feel like I'm behind. Then it tells you, you look at TV, 30, 35, by 35, people already have a family with kids that are 6 and 7. If you're 35, you're behind if you don't have those things. So we're constantly feeling like we're behind, or like we're constantly trying to catch up to where we're supposed to be. But I believe once you get to that place where you just say, I'm good with me, whatever me is, and stop trying to live up to or catch up. Stop trying to play catch up to this facade or this illusion, and just I don't know. It's weird, and I think men have it probably harder than what women have it. We just don't talk about it because when you're married, you are expected to be a provider. And when I was growing up, my mom didn't work, so my dad took care of my mom and all 6 of us. So if I was to take on that perception today, I would damn near probably be struggling trying to take care of family with a wife that's not working. You know what I'm saying? So when you put all these perceptions of what you think a man is supposed to be, a provider, all of this other kind of stuff, I think men struggle with that. They just don't talk about it.
Yeah. True. I think to kind of piggyback on something that you said, John. I think that today, I don't have kids, but I do think that today's youth is scary, and you think about like the future generations coming. Because when I was in high school, social media wasn't really a thing back then. I mean, it was kind of like just emerging. So I know for me personally, I would say some of my insecurities are. With that in mind, with social media, I think that, if a lot of men are honest with themselves, men in general, I know, at least for me, you do get more self-conscious about body image or just image of how you look, because now it's so easy to compare yourself to someone else. And then you're like, oh, well, I don't have that car, or I don't look like that, or like you said, I'm maybe not making that on my job. So if you're not a strong-minded person, and even if you are a strong-minded person, sometimes you have to constantly remind yourself that you are enough, and that those material things don't really matter, and it's not all about the physical all the time, or just money and things like that. But I would say one of my big insecurities that I have too is not reaching my full potential, whatever that is. I mean, I feel like I'm still learning that, but I have a real big fear that, like, maybe, I need to be going in a different direction, and that could be career-wise, whatever. But that's a big insecurity I have, that maybe I'm not doing enough to reach whatever potential I'm supposed to have.
What do you think that is? I mean, what do you?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. It's just like, I just feel like I'm my own worst enemy with that, because I feel like I try to do a lot of things, but at the same time, it's like in my head, it's not enough. Or if it doesn't produce this result, then maybe it wasn't right, or maybe.
And okay, I'm glad you said if it doesn't produce this results, because I think a lot of times with success, we base it on finances, or we base it on the number of people that we have following us on social media. Is based upon measurable things or tangible things. So I think we just have to because success is not meaning that you're going to be a millionaire. It doesn't mean that. So do you think you're measuring it like on financial gain or anything like that?
I mean, I would like to think I'm not. I don't really consider myself a materialistic person, but I will say, just throwing this out there, the last, I would say maybe about 2 years ago or about a year ago, I was going through some really, really hard times financially. So when I first got out of it, I noticed I had to kind of quickly check myself because it was easy to fall into labeling things from a financial point as far as like success or status. And it's like, well, why am I thinking like this? I never used to think like this before. But I think because we're just inundated with it so much with social media and you even have to be careful with some of the people you hang around too, because some people are just wired and programmed like that. Just having to remind myself that that's not the end goal for success, or that's not the measure of success, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I think we produce our own insecurities.
I get.
Yeah, I agree.
I really do. I really do. Like for me, I look at men and like I always wanted a mohawk. Like not that Mr. T mohawk, but I always I mean when it came back in style with Ursha.
Yeah.
So I was like, man,
I kind of want one too.
I was like, man, I want to get that. And I looked at my hairline. I'm like, man, I get that. I'm gonna be the laughing stock of everywhere, cause my hairline's so far back. You know what I'm saying? So,
but bald is in now. So I mean, hey,
Carlos, you only saying that cause you too bald.
Yeah, well, no, but seriously, I had that insecurity too about going bald because I was 25 when I shaved my hair, and so that was young to have to come to grips with losing hair. But hey, here's what it is. So
I may
cut it off.
mess around and get that little black dye that they be using in men wigs.
Please
don't do that. I will talk about you. Don't do that.
Yeah, I may just do that. Give me a man wig. Women wear a wig all the time. Give me a wig. Ain't nothing wrong with a wig, man. Carlos, be quiet. Ain't nobody
But see, I mean, right there, that's a great example of even our conversation right now about the man wig. We're creating insecurities in people or you by telling you that we're going to talk about you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Carlos.
And I'm not saying you're doing it, Carlos.
He did.
But I'm just saying.
I'm going to cry in the car.
That is how insecurities come about. We are so afraid of being rejected, ridiculed, all of that kind of stuff that we can never, ever just like let go, do the crap we want to do and deal with it. And if people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a great place to be. But I think somewhere in life, because when you really think about a kid, that's why I really like when I see little kids that are like 4 and 5 years old and their creativity is like through the roof. And they have no fears. They're not trying to be accepted. They just themselves. But somewhere down the line, somebody told them that they shouldn't do something. They can't be something or something that's going to fail. And then that is like that's what started the spiral down.
Yeah.
Tammy, you going to hell, yo.
Oh.
Show Liz. You show Liz. I'm glad you got jokes over there, Tammy. You producing insecurities. I'm insecure, about my hair. Like, real talk. I'm insecure
really?
about my hair.
Though? I mean, it's...
Man, I had 360s. I was looking nice. Now I'm losing it in the front and in the middle. It's gone. I put wave grease on my head. They used to have waves. Now it's slick. I know ain't nothing there. It's thinning. Man, I don't even brush it no more. I'm so embarrassed.
Why?
I don't brush it no more. So look, why are men?
Oh my God.
Tell me it's not that funny. Look, why are men afraid to discuss their insecurities? Why?
Well, I think it's perceived as a weakness, and guys you're supposed to be strong. You're supposed to be the head of the household, and even if you're single, I think all men carry that head of the household weight. That's just my belief. I think that's just something that's drilled into boys, when you're little, and that just carries on with you as you get older. So I think men and ever since they were little, you programmed to not really show emotions. And I think that's why now you have so many guys when they get older, they don't know how to talk about certain things, or they blow up. Maybe that's their go-to. Instead of talking things out, they resort to blowing up instead.
Yeah.
I think it's just a stereotype of men.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So how do we become secure?
That's a choice you make.
Is it a choice you make overnight, over time?
It's a choice you make when you get ready to make it. You have to be ready to make that choice. That you're going to just be honest with yourself, and you're just going to live your life free of the perception and expectations of everybody else.
Yeah. I think it comes through conversations like this too, because to piggyback off what you were saying about your hair and stuff, I don't have that insecurity now, but 10 years ago I did. For real.
Why you use that as an example, Carlos?
Well, I'm just saying, because I'm saying I share that with you because I had that too. That's what I'm saying. So I think when you voice your insecurities, then you find out, oh, well, I'm not the only one dealing with this. Like, you find out that there's other people that have dealt with the same thing, or they are dealing with the same thing. So maybe, I think sometimes just the fact of hearing that someone else has insecurities, maybe if it's not the same thing that you're dealing with, then it makes you feel like, okay, well, I'm not alone in this.
Yep.
It makes it easier to talk about to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start a hair loss group like the AME.
Oh.
I'm gonna have a hair loss group where the men come together and we stand up and say, "I'm losing my hair."
What do you think it makes you feel like? I mean, what is the root of the insecurity?
But let's
behind it?
really talk about Kendrick's insecurities, because I think he's
Hell
using this
no.
hair.
No,
I think
Dr.
he's
Phil?
using this whole hair thing to deflect, and it's
Uh-oh.
like on my nerves because we're continuously talking about your hair. You got that
We
insecurity.
can talk about your hair because you have none.
But when I went bald, I had hair. That was
Yeah,
never
I
an
did too.
insecurity of mine. I had a full head of hair when
so
I
you're
went
gonna
bald.
make me even more insecure?
Nope. I'm
That's
just
what
saying
you're
that was the
doing?
one. No, I'm not, Kendrick, and we're not about to stay on your hair. So I think another insecurity that you have is vulnerability, and it's definitely coming out in this podcast.
Whoa.
I embrace vulnerability, to be honest with you.
No, you do you.
I really do.
But you were so nervous about this whole podcast, this whole topic.
and as I open up and I explain,
So let's talk about
this is a scary topic for many, and the reason why it's scary is because it forces you to open up and be honest with yourself. And a lot of times, people choose not to be honest with themselves. But me being who I am, I have no problem with being vulnerable. Not at all. Especially when you're vulnerable with the right one.
Right. So let's talk about these insecurities.
Let's talk about yours.
I've already talked about mine.
I talked about mine too.
I think we all fear that whole thing of not being enough. I think men, women, I think we all fear that. And I think it get put on women mostly and not men. I think, but men do feel that. And like Carlos said, when you look at social media now, you have so many images that remind you of what you are not. So many images, whether it's a physical image or whether it's somebody in a relationship and they posting these beautiful pictures and all of the other kind of stuff, and or if it's a car or a house, we have constant reminders of what we are not. We're always reminded of that. So, and I always say in that is anytime you compare yourself to anybody else, you better be ready because you are going to come up short. Because we are comparing our reality to a perception of who we have as someone else. Pictures does not make a happy marriage. Pictures just make a great thing to look at, because anybody can take a great picture that make you look happy. There are 1,000 people taking pictures in front of cars at dealerships, but you think it's theirs.
Right. Or they leasing them.
And they're leasing them, and you think those are their pictures.
Yeah.
And then you got all of these people on all of these vacations all the time, and they're flying standby to get there. but you're basing your life. No, I'm just real. You basing your life and
my
your
God.
value and your success so far
Yeah, you don't know
off
how
of
people got
a
there.
perception.
Yeah.
And you feeling like you not enough because of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go and you get married. And you got a wife, men, that tell you that you're not enough. Because if you want to run this house, you need to take care of this house. Because she believes that she makes more money than you do, you're not man enough. And you're not in control of the house. So I think we all deal with some insecurity. So Kendrick, are you ready?
Play.
Go for it.
I already discussed that.
What are we waiting on?
So I'm ready.
Oh,
Play.
he's ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. So what are we discussing?
Okay, Carlos, we back to you.
Okay. So, I mean, well, I just want to say, too, off of kind of what you said, John, about the
That rent.
Rent.
The insecurities. The sad part, I think, about a lot of insecurities, especially when you compare it to, like, social media, things like that, is we're comparing ourselves to things that aren't real. You know, they have apps out there now that, I mean, some people really are in shape, and, you know, kudos to them if they are. But you have apps that'll make you, you know, have a six-pack or all these things just to have a nice picture. So, you know, I think people need to keep that in mind, too, is that, you know, perception is everything. I mean, if you put the right perception out there, you know, people are going to believe it. And I'll never forget when you talk about, you know, marriage, too, because now in my friend circle, I'm kind of like the sore thumb in some instances because a lot of my friends are married. And it seemed like we had a lot more in common when I was married. So now that I'm not, I mean, they haven't changed. They haven't done anything.
Yeah, because now
different.
you ain't got to talk about a nagging ass wife with him.
Lord have mercy. Wow.
That's what y'all lost
Well, I
in
don't-
common.
Oh my God.
Well, no, they, you know, our friendship dynamic hasn't changed, but it's me. It's me with the insecurity because I'm thinking, oh, well, you know, are they going to really be able to relate to me now? Because, you know, now I'm not married. And it's funny with some friends or just associates or whatever. I think what we have to be careful of, too, is people love insecurity. I mean, they love misery loves company with their insecurities. So it's sometimes people, if you're insecure about something, then it's a whole lot easier to have a group of people that are also insecure about that same thing. And then if you have one person that changes that dynamic, then it kind of throws off the whole group a little bit. Because I know before I got married, all I heard was, "Oh, when are you gonna get married? When are you gonna get married? You know, you need to do it. You need to make it happen. You know, you about to be 30, all this stuff." And so now that I've gotten a divorce, some of those same people are saying, "Oh, well, yeah, live your life and take your time. And, you know, if I could do it all over, I would have changed." I mean, it was like you the same person that was pushing me into it before. But I think a lot of times we want company, like I said, with our insecurities. You know, nobody wants to deal with the insecurity alone, and it's sad to say, but I think people just generally find more comfortability with other people around them or maybe in their circle that have the same insecurities they do.
So you guys brought up social media and posting pictures and all of that. Does the perception, as you stated, Carlos, does the perception help change insecurities? Meaning when a person gives you that comment, "Oh, y'all look amazing in that picture," if it's a couple, or "Oh, you look amazing. What are you doing? Are you losing weight? What are you doing?" Even though you're insecure, nothing's changed. Does that help change the insecurities?
I think it might put a Band-Aid on it, but it doesn't deal with the root issue. And the thing I think that people have to be so careful of with the opinion of others is people's opinions change from day to day.
Fickle.
Yes. Yeah, people are fickle. And maybe they gave you a compliment because they feeling good about themselves that day. So everything they see is through a lens of, hey, I'm feeling great. You know, I'm going to be a blessing to this person or speak positivity into this person, but let that same person be having a bad day, and then they may also comment on that same picture and say, "Oh, your shoes look busted on that picture," or whatever, you know. So I think even with that, with compliments or anything like that that you get, especially as people outside of your circle that you don't really know, you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt, because you'll be constantly going back and forth with people's opinions if you're using that to get out of an insecurity. So to answer your question, I think I don't think that should be the cure for insecurity, is looking for validation from other people.
Right, and I think too there's a danger in that too.
Yeah.
I think when you use social media for validation of your worth or whatever, the danger comes is like you'll start posting for that validation, and as soon
To
as
get the
that
same reaction.
it slacks and or it gets a little bit lower on it, then you start questioning yourself again. It begin to validate exactly what you're telling yourself right before you post that picture. You may think it's a great picture, but you may think the picture is great, but you don't think you're great. You may think the picture look great, but I don't look great. So when they compliment you on, that's why you have those people be like, "Do you really think so?" And then you say, "Yeah," and they like, "No,
Right.
well I see this here. I see." Sometimes you like, "Bitch, please, I can go back and forth
Whoa.
with you on this here." Shit.
Whoa.
Y'all know the Lord has not delivered me from cussing, so I'm on this about that. But that drives you.
That is what you be thinking. though.
Yes,
I ain't gonna
like
lie.
I'm tired of validating you. I'm
Yeah.
tired of that. You look great. I'm
Yeah.
not lying to you. If you didn't look good, I wouldn't tell you that. But going back is that people start posting for that, and then when it slacks, then they start confirming themselves. They take that as confirmation of what they are thinking is true. Oh, they're not liking as many of my pictures as they used to, so I
Right.
must not be looking as good
Right.
as I used to. And that's just dangerous, and you cannot use anybody, whether it's social media, whether it's
people.
public attention, anything that does with someone else. You cannot put any validity on it because it is subject to change by the day, by how they feel. You can wear a suit. Kendrick can wear a suit one day, and somebody tell him, "Kendrick, you look smoking hot in that suit." And then 3 months, you the same exact size, probably done buffed up a little bit different, but because they in a bad mood, "Kendrick, that suit is too tight.
What you been eating?
What you been eating? You don't
Yeah.
need to have that suit on. You don't even look good in it." And they will ruin you. You can't depend on them.
They tell me that Ethel.
Huh?
They say that to me, Ethel.
Not ever.
Yeah, Ethel. I ain't gonna say the word like him. He bold with that.
Cussing is my issue. What's yours? Oh, moving on. Moving on.
You better, cause I was finna answer that.
Well,
too.
let's go for it.
You were finna answer that too. What? Y'all expect me to answer that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, when it comes to the insecurities,
Yeah, so
insecurities. You know, you got to be strong to overcome the insecurities mentally, emotionally, psychologically, all that good stuff. You gotta overcome them insecurities. You know.
Okay, so Kendra, I got a question for you too now.
No.
Yep. So now that you are back on your peace journey and you are single, you are free, does the dating scene give you any type of insecurities? Because now you're in a different mindset, for real, from where you were when you were married. Dating is a little bit different because you were married for some years. You dated her for some years before y'all got married. So that was a long period of time. So now you're back fresh on the scene, a different person, different mindset, different experiences. Does dating give you any type of insecurities?
No.
really,
Okay.
it does for me.
Why?
Because I feel like I say
honest.
So I'm not being honest.
No.
So
You're not.
why does dating have to give me insecurity? I have no problem finding a nice lady, taking a
Well,
nice
it's
lady
not
out.
that.
Like,
But that's not
It's not
even
that.
about
so
that.
what
No.
insecurity
You're a great
should I
looking
have?
guy, so
No,
sure
this
you're
is-
gonna
okay,
find
this is-
What
somebody.
insecurity should I have
Okay.
from the dating scene?
No,
Answer
I'm
that.
just telling you this is mine. So I feel like and we're close in age too. So I feel like at this age, when you're I think I said this on one of the other podcasts. I have no interest. Maybe God might change my mind later, but I have no interest on getting married again. So what the dilemma that creates is if you do decide to date. I'm about to be 35 next year. So, and I'm not trying to sound sexist or anything, but the reality is I won't say most, but a lot of women that are in that age bracket, if they're single, they're expecting to be married at some point. If it's not a lot, not all women.
They're
I'm not
coming
making
for
it-
you on that one.
Well, it's the truth. It's the
Y'all
truth.
better get him too, because that nonsense he just said.
No, I think so. I think after a certain period, they're expecting like a serious relationship that's going to progress to marriage. And so that could be an insecurity, I think.
So once again, what insecurity should there be from the dating scene? Seeking a long-term relationship from a young lady wanting a long-term relationship. You're not wanting to give that. That doesn't produce insecurity. Y'all just on two different pages. I don't agree with that at all. So, what insecurity should there be from the
Then
dating
maybe your
scene?
picker is broken.
My picker? What picker?
Yeah, you're picking women. Maybe something's broken there. So that could be an insecurity because you've been married what?
Picking the wrong woman?
Yeah.
That's an insecurity? Not at all,
Yeah.
sir. I don't agree with that.
Okay.
I don't agree with that. Next
So
question.
you have no insecurities when it comes
Not
to
when-
the dating.
Not at all.
Okay.
I'm very secure in
So
that area.
you believe that when you come to a woman that you're everything every woman is gonna want.
I don't believe that. I
Okay.
believe that there are areas that I may lack, but just because I lack in those areas doesn't mean I should be insecure in that.
So when you
at this
approach a
point
woman,
in
you
my
don't.
life,
When you approach a woman that you really like, well, okay. Well, I guess I can't ask you that because you're not looking for that right now. So you're probably just approaching women just to date them, to go out to dinner, eat later, and be done.
Not
That's
eat
all
later.
you're expecting, right? That's all you're expecting, right? You're not looking for a relationship, right?
at this point, I'm just whatever comes, it comes. That's where I'm at.
So you're not looking for a relationship.
Them your words, them not my words.
You said whatever comes. You're not looking for anything. If it happens, it happens.
Typically looking, yeah.
And you're right. That
So
doesn't
you're
mean
not
I'm,
looking for anything.
That doesn't mean I'm not looking. It just whatever happens, happens. If it's the right match, cool.
Kendrick,
Let's put it
confused.
together.
You-
If it ain't the right match, then
You
cool.
losing me now.
We're
Yeah.
cool.
I'm lost.
Kendrick, that makes no sense. Either you're looking or you're not looking.
No, that's not true. You can't.
It is.
Yeah, you
You-
can't look and not look at the same time.
Yes, you
Yeah,
can.
you can. No, you can just
No.
be
You,
open.
look,
You
you
can't.
find,
You
you
can't.
find.
You
Hold on,
can't. I'm
you
sorry.
find.
You can't.
Hold on, you find the best things when you're not looking for them.
I agree with that.
Thank
I do
you.
agree.
Thank
I'm
you.
with
So-
on that. Okay.
It doesn't mean you have to look. You could just be minding your own business, and Miss Right come along, and
But you're
that-
not
and-
looking though. Still.
Thank you.
And
You're
because
not
you're
looking
not
for it.
looking, maybe that's why you haven't developed any insecurities. Because when, just like we talked
not
about
true.
on 1st
I've had
dates,
insecurities.
and expectations of credit scores, making this type of money,
You got the
having
wrong
all of
credit
this
score, I
other
got
kind of stuff.
insecurity.
Say that again.
With the wrong credit score, I got
No, but your credit score may not be hard for the woman that you want. You just haven't found the woman you want right now. So
My credit
maybe that's
score-
why you haven't developed any insecurities.
My credit score is fine. It'll get us
We're
whatever
talking
we
about
need.
credit score.
But I'm just saying.
We're
but
not talking about credit score.
I just don't agree with your statement. I
Okay.
really don't. I don't see no validity to it. Not at all. I feel like your statement is.
Kendra, you're just trying to throw out words now because
I'm
you're
really
going
not.
right now.
I don't agree with it
like-
because you can't.
What statement do you not agree with?
I'm not looking for it. That's not true. You can.
But
be-
you just said you're not looking for it.
Yeah. I thought-
What I said was.
Did
if
you
it
not
come,
say
it
that?
Comes.
So that means you're open to it.
I'm open to it. That
Wait.
doesn't mean I'm not looking though.
Well, open and looking is two different things.
Yes, Kendrick. That's two different things. And when you listen back to this podcast, you're gonna call me up and you're gonna say, you were right. I was on that stuff. You're gonna text me
Here you
because
go with that
Not
again.
on
Yeah.
that stuff.
you're on that stuff.
What stuff is that?
The DOPE.
Whoa, whoa.
Dope.
Look, man.
And
Not
then
dope.
talking about your personality is so dope. You own the dope.
Look, here you go. Hey, look, he on one again. He's on the dope.
Dude, either you can't say you're not looking for it. And are you looking
I just
for it?
explained it to you.
Okay.
I just explained it.
So are you looking for it, Kendrick?
I just explained it.
Are you looking for it?
I gave the analogy.
You're open
He's
to it,
not
right? You're not looking, but you're open. If anything happens, it's open. So it's easy
Carlos.
to
Go ahead.
it's
I just said
easy
you're not
to
looking. I don't think you
understand. It's easy to understand
what
why
you said.
no insecurities has developed.
Do you
for
have
Kendrick.
insecurities when it comes to dating outside of young men?
Sure. We all have them.
I don't agree.
Because people, especially if it's someone that we really like, because we want to be everything they want us to be. So if we're not,
Yeah.
then we develop insecurities in that. Don't mean we have to let them fester and we have to build upon them, but it's natural to have that,
Yeah.
Kendrick. But again, I'm validating what you said because you said you are not looking for anything. I can understand you not having any insecurities because you don't feel you have to live up to any expectations. If you were looking for something, then that's where I believe the insecurities come. But because you said you're not looking, that validates
But
it.
even if I was looking, just to use your words, even if I was looking, and I wasn't everything a woman think I should be, that doesn't necessarily mean I should have insecurities. Not at all. If I'm not everything that woman wants me to be, that's fine. I'm okay with that. Well, if you don't want to
Not
date
if
me,
you like her.
Yeah, if you're really
Listen,
into her, it's
Not
not
if
that
you're
easy.
really into her.
It's not
Yeah,
that
it is.
easy.
Kendrick,
No,
we gotta
no,
move
hold
on.
on. You told me that a person should love themselves enough that if I'm not enough, I'm willing to walk away. And guess what? If I love myself enough that when I become
Kendrick, okay, you
No,
just
I
came
don't-
this way in the last month.
I don't know. This been me. I've been
When?
this way the whole time.
How long? The
I
whole
don't
time
agree.
of the podcast?
Nah, when you made the statement.
Exactly. Negro.
When you made the statement. Look, it was true. The statement was true.
Yeah, it is true.
It was true, but you
It's
weren't
true.
applying that principle at that time.
I'm
Kendrick.
applying. It doesn't matter. Whether I was applying it in 2002, 2008,
Okay,
or
well, Kendrick,
2019, I'm
getting
applying
to
that
know
son of a
the
gun
new year,
now.
Kendrick. I'm getting to know the new year.
Yeah.
But you're at
This
peace.
dude here.
But he's at peace right now. He's not with nobody, so you're not in a situation where you have to walk away from somebody.
Even if I was, I wouldn't have any insecurities because I love myself enough that when I become not enough, I'm willing to walk away. Thank you
Okay.
for that sound device from House Square Ghetto University.
Whatever,
Oh.
sir.
Well, I do think that even if you do walk away, and if you are a strong-minded person, you're able to walk away from somebody, it doesn't necessarily mean that you lack insecurities.
Thank you, Carlos.
You may have insecurities. I don't think you. I don't,
with you.
yeah,
I don't
think you
agree
were
with that. I
supposed to
thought you
agree.
were going somewhere else.
I was like, wait, he's agreeing with me. His credit score just shot up.
I thought you were going somewhere
I
else.
was waiting. I was like, no, that was it.
Just because you walk away doesn't mean you're insecure. Just you can walk away and
No,
be
it
okay.
just because you
it's
walk-
both ways. It goes both ways.
And that's
Just
all I'm
because you
saying,
walk away
Carlos.
doesn't mean that you are secure.
Right.
It does
goes
if you
both
love
ways.
yourself
Doesn't.
enough.
It
No.
doesn't.
You can still walk away and have insecurities.
Still can walk away and have insecurity.
I agree with y'all. You can walk away and have insecurities. But in my case, if I walk away, I don't have any insecurities because I'm strong enough mentally, I'm whole enough physically that I can walk away and not have no
But if
insecurities.
you're not in that situation at the moment, you can't
Even
say
if
that.
I was in that situation and I love this girl to no end, if I should love myself enough. That's
You
what
should.
the-
You
that's
should.
what he said.
But
You
Kendrick,
should,
walking
but
away pretty
the
much
reality
in that-
is different.
In this situation, walking away from this situation just pretty much says, I accept that I'm not everything that she wants. And I'm gonna walk away from that situation. That's
and
what
that's
it is.
and that's you being honest with yourself, and
That's
that
what-
doesn't.
but
that
it doesn't mean that
it has
you
to
don't have
produce
insecurity.
It doesn't mean it has to produce insecurities within yourself.
I didn't say that.
It doesn't have
produces,
to.
Kendrick. But I said it does not mean that you don't have insecurities.
Whatever.
Whatever, man.
Yeah.
Wow, he's kind of like feisty today.
Whoa.
This is Kendrick sober. Hey, whatever protein he's taking, that what's that B-Nox? You need to let that foolishness go.
Here you
Because
go.
it is messing with your, like, happy genes. Because you're kind of angry today, sir.
I'm not angry at all.
You are angry today, sir.
This son of a gun, boy.
You are angry today. So that pre-workout, do not drink it. People who are watching or listening to this podcast, he's taking B-Nox and he's drinking some meal replacement called Lean. It fucks
Not
with
lean.
your happy
We ain't
genes.
talking about that syrup.
Do
so
not,
don't get that confused.
do not take these supplements.
Look, he just woke up about 40 minutes ago. He was over there half asleep.
Whatever.
He just woke up. Don't entertain him.
Whatever, people.
Please, look, don't entertain this nonsense. He's talking. Carlos,
Okay, Carlos, we're back
close
to
us
you
out,
because
man.
Okay.
him and his angry genes, I'm not up for him.
All right, so before we close out, everybody give what's one word of advice that you wish you could go back and maybe tell yourself in the past about insecurities, something that you learned now, maybe still working through, or
You are
a
enough.
word of advice.
That's what I would tell myself. You are enough.
Okay, for me, I would say stop overthinking. Some things is like you already know that. For me, I already know the answer, and you just like keep thinking of all these different ways to look at it, and it comes right back to what you originally thought. So I would say stop overthinking.
Let's give a drum roll for this.
y'all go fuck yourself, okay?
Oh,
Go
that's
fuck
not
yourself.
peaceful. You just broke the zen.
To hell with your
Damn it.
zen, Carlos. To hell with your zen. But look, I tell myself, love yourself. And I love myself enough to tell y'all to go fuck yourself.
Whoa.
Whoa, he just broke the zen, y'all.
He
said he was so
That
peaceful.
pre-workout
Yeah,
drink.
it's that B-Knox.
It's that B-Nox.
It got you on
Man,
one
that B-Nox
today.
is not even open, bro. This guy here.
That's a replenishment bottle.
I
that
thought you were
had.
supposed to be, yeah, like
Carlos, that's a
peace.
wrap, right?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Deuce.
You not no.
Yeah, I was till he came with that nonsense. This dude here, man.